Hello and welcome to today's daily education here at Forex.Academy. My name is Robert Blackwell and I have the pleasure today to walk you through today's daily educational video. Before we do so, please consult the following disclaimer. There is, of course, always inherent risk when trading the financial markets. And so for the topic of conversation for today's daily educational video, we will be discussing trading cryptocurrencies. So the first thing I'd like to go through when discussing cryptocurrencies and trading the asset classes, it's just that there is quite a range of cryptocurrencies to trade from. Now, you may all be familiar with Bitcoin, but there's more popular ones as well. Your Ethereum, Litecoin, and other sort of more technical ones that you can trade from. But now they're becoming much more popular that the CFD contracts offer good liquidity in actually trading these assets. So, of course, I have dollar index, euro, dollar, more popular markets to trade. Where you will find your cryptocurrencies down at the bottom here. All these cryptocurrencies here. So again, if you're a price action specialist, the fact that they are starting to trade with much more volume indicates that we can actually trade the chart much more, I suppose, more significantly in terms of reading price action. So let me just, as you can see, I have some previous analysis on this market. I used to trade Bitcoin quite a lot, and now it's trading to the downside. I'm looking for these buying opportunities around these lows. So let's just use some technical analysis. But first of all, I'll bring up the Bitcoin market here. Then, of course, you can simply drag and drop Ethereum, of course, onto other markets. Let us look at the Litecoin market, and as well, I'll look at the Dash market as well, very popular as well. Okay, so quite some markets to trade through. I'll just go through the daily price section here. And actually, what I'll do is close off my market watch just to give us an overall level of observation to these markets at this moment in time here. Okay, so we're looking at Bitcoin first of all, then Ethereum, then the Litecoin market, and I'll bring this back into daily price section, all of these markets as well. Zoom out a little, and then the Dash market as well. So first thing I'd like to note, and which is totally visible on chart, guys, is that the cryptocurrency markets are all to a certain extent quite correlated, given they're in the same bunch of asset classes. And of course, we really see Bitcoin leading the way in terms of how the other markets trade. So in the same example, if you trade gold with silver, gold always leads silver. They're very, very correlated, with the correlation of around 88 or 0.88 or 88% if you'd like as well. The cryptocurrency markets are very similar in terms of that correlation, very, very strong. Ethereum does move on its own accord as well, given its move very much by the technological structure of the Ether gas and how that is starting to be used in terms of technological advancement over there in Australia. I believe the ASX is using that blockchain technology mechanism there to run its financial exchanges there. So very important in understanding that there's a lot of real fundamental discussion where these markets are heading now as well, given that obviously Bitcoin pulled the whole way up, moved the whole way up to 20,000 and then pulled the whole way back there over the last, I suppose, January, February time. Of course, we've seen very sharp moves from December onwards. But now we're at these inflection points here, and we can use some technical analysis as well. One thing I would point out, guys, is that these are good markets to trade in the short term, actually, because they do move quite substantially in accordance with news flow affecting the asset. So if you see, perhaps if some mining exchange has been hacked or something like this, you'll see the price move down perhaps $400 or $500. And of course, if you see some very good news, you can see it rebound very, very strongly at such levels here. So it is trading quite technically as well. If we zoom in on the Bitcoin price action chart, we can see it does have this level here where we're almost trading with this descending triangle. So now we're just at these lows around the 6,000 level, waiting to see if this market pulls back again just within this point as well. So this here, if it pulls back here, might give us a technical buy above this level, even for another $2,000, okay? So that might be quite significant. Now, you may say, well, price action is looking to push to the downside, and that is the case on a technical level, but very hard to fundamentally assess where these markets are going in the medium or long term. And again, if we're looking at these markets and we do see a very sharp move, let's say in the Bitcoin market, it comes back up to these highs and then starts to really go to the downside, well, we might look for those better technical trading opportunities in those correlated asset classes. So I'll use this as an example. We have the Bitcoin market at a real inflection point now. Zoom out on the price section, we see it's at these relative lows. The lows from the last time, again, was this candle here around the just at the middle of November there. If I use the data window just to explain this candle here, let me see, we have the 13th of November. Okay, so very significant that candle as well. We can almost put another resistance level just at that point because we have had a little bounce of it with this candlestick here 2-3 days ago right there. So if we see these markets start to roll over or trade between this range for a moment and then go to the downside, well, there might be an opportunity if we can catch that opportunity, but to look across these correlated assets. Okay, so Ethereum is one very, very interesting market because it has actually been stronger in the medium term than the Bitcoin market itself. And you can see that it hasn't retraced its full lows to where it was there with the big sell-off March time. Okay, so let's do some analysis on this. Of course, we do still have this trend to the downside. Okay, very, very significant trend. Of course, after a long move to the upside. So are we likely to see, this is question time for me now, if we're likely to see a bounce or stability at these levels? If we are, we could get something again trading right back up to here, because guys, you know, these are markets that are not fully understood in terms of their complexity, in terms of their intrinsic value, and they might trade just very, very technically at the moment in time. So the Ethereum here seems to just bounce off these again, so we might see continuation to the upside like this as well, or we might even try and capture that move or look for the breakout. If the Bitcoin market leads the slide lower, this could be a technical break and really, you know, give you that bounding to really look for this big sell in this market. But again, totally objective inner analysis. The Litecoin, by the way, the Litecoin is of course much more correlated to the Bitcoin. It's of the same family as the Bitcoin market itself in terms of its structure and the blockchain technology behind such an asset. But we can see it has broken the level as well and is continuing to shift lower. So perhaps this is giving us the signal, guys, that these markets are heading lower, and we'll look to follow that potential to the downside as well. Again, if you'd like to gain some exposure in the cryptocurrencies in terms of trading these moves, what you could do, and again, you can see the dash here is just trading lower again from the 27th around the middle of October there to these lows here. Okay, so what a real inflection point just with these lows, as you can see. Okay, September, November time there. But again, or sorry, October time. But again, guys, trading lower. So if you wanted to gain some exposure, you could take smaller positions, try and avoid the volatility, the long-term, or sorry, short-term volatility, I would say, in the markets. Take small short positions if you think these markets are going lower in all of the markets. That way you could get exposure in all four markets. Or perhaps if you think, guys, these are at relative lows and you'd like to take small sort of value trades on the long side, you could take a level of exposure in perhaps a 0.10 trade in all of these markets to look for some exposure to the upside as well. So do factor in that they all move together. And again, if you don't have an overall view, guys, of the market themselves just by looking at the charts, well, you can simply trade them intraday. As you can see, the candlesticks, we'll look at the Litecoin candlesticks here. They do provide us with some real good technical trades just off the shorts there as well. So we have this little structure broke, and then we get the sell off here, and of course we're still at lower levels. So it does trade quite technically in terms of the price action these levels, and you can of course trade an asset, add those one or two of these assets to your portfolio that is totally uncorrelated to the forex pairs or the equity indices or commodities that you trade. So that brings us to the end of today's daily educational video here at Forex Academy. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.